Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there, that guy, John, your resident Millennial. John, how are you doing this evening?
I'm alright. Yeah, pretty
You're
good.
all right? Just all right?
Not terrible.
Come on, John. Give me
Yeah, not
something better.
terrible.
It's hump day, John. Hump a
No,
day. Humpity day. Humpity day.
I did not get to hump today, unfortunately.
Really?
So,
Is your camel in the shop? What's going on?
not today. Yeah, it's in the shop.
Your camel's in the shop. Your camel's in the shop.
That's right. It's in the camel shop.
Seems
Got to
like
get the. I don't know. What kind of maintenance does a camel need? Like, it doesn't need an oil change, right? So, I don't
well,
know.
you got
Maybe
to
it needs
top the
water because
fluids
it's supposed to
off.
store water.
Yeah, you got to top the fluids off.
Yeah.
Got to check the water and top that off. Seems kind of
Yeah.
quiet out there in our viewership land this evening. I don't know, a little quiet, a little
Nobody
quiet.
likes us.
Nobody's showing up at the moment. There's somebody
All
lurking on YouTube.
by
I don't know who it is.
myself.
All right,
Don't wanna be all by
you're never alone when, as long as you're with
myself.
me, John. You're never alone,
That's true.
and that's what's
God damn it.
important, isn't it?
Then I have to be with you. So it's like, which one, Ooh, which one?
I
Yeah,
swallow.
I don't know.
So I think that's really
It's
what's
true.
important, isn't it?
That's
I
fair.
mean,
It is
I
fair, yeah.
mean, you know, I don't know. It's about your priorities. So, anything exciting going on in your week this week, John? Something. There's got to be something
In my
exciting.
week this week, yeah. I don't know. Not everyone knows. A few people know. But I've recently started taking fiddle lessons. Learning how
Shut
to do some
up.
fiddling on a fiddle. Yeah, man.
Now,
So, oh shit.
now clarify.
Go ahead.
So,
Yeah.
what's the difference between learning the fiddle and learning the violin?
So you know that they're the same instrument, right? Like
Right.
it's a fiddle if you play it like one. So it's all about style, right?
Right.
Classical classical violin is more like technique driven. It's more about precision and accuracy. Whereas fiddle is more kind of loose and very fluid. Um, Very improvisational, whatever, however you say that word. I'm stupid today.
Improvisational is good.
Yeah, yeah. So like you can like you can miss the notes that you're supposed to hit, air quotes, but yeah, I mean as long as you make it sound good, no one's gonna notice or care, and you can actually just like, oh yeah, I did that on purpose. It's pretty nice.
Now, are you? Have you ever play? Are you trained or know how to play any other stringed instruments?
Nope.
So this is brand new for you to be learning.
Yeah.
So the notes are and stuff like that. Have you had any musical background training or anything in your early life, piano
Uh,
lessons or anything silly like that, to where you
I played
understand
I played
music?
I played the trombone in sixth grade, so
Ah,
no.
okay. So you what? But
So no.
you had to learn about notes and music and how to
Hmm.
read music and that kind of stuff to play the trombone, right?
Right.
Okay. So,
But that was also 18 years ago, something like that.
sure, but
How old are you in sixth grade? Well, you're like 11.
but it's
So
not
that was,
it's
oh my
not.
God, that was like 20 years. That was 20 years ago, Robert.
Were you any good?
Shit.
Well, how good were you on the trombone as
I
far as
wasn't. I
how
didn't.
long did you train on that?
Just for a school year,
One school year.
and I did not give a single fuck about it.
But did you have to
So
do
no.
any recitals or anything like that?
Yeah, we
Performances?
had to do. Yeah, we had to do like an orchestra thing during some kind of like parent night, like where all the parents were there in the gym, so like they had the bleachers out and stuff. Yeah,
Hey, John, I don't know if you know this.
yep,
Did you know that there's legal weed out there now?
I do.
Like, it's legal
Hmm.
and it's
And it's
weed
weed, right?
because it's derived from hemp plants, but it's just as yummy and tasty as the stuff that's not legal.
Right. Hmm. Might have to
I'm,
give that a shot.
and you can buy it through the mail
That is pretty nice.
without problems.
To be fair, you can buy the illegal stuff through the mail, but
Uh,
you're not supposed
notice,
to.
remember, but notice that last addendum without problems,
Right.
right? Right? Without breaking any laws,
Yeah.
right? But it's I'm like, oh my, that's crazy. And I ordered some. I'm like, all right, let's see if it happens, because if they'll send it to Florida,
Hmm.
let's see. Sure enough, they did. And and while I will say that it's not exactly like the hardcore stuff that you might get from your local, street vendor, as it were,
Right.
it is quite nice. It works well. It does the sedative things that I need it to. Not as heady. Not you don't have to worry about the paranoia and all that head
Oh yeah,
cloud.
that part sucks.
You lose
Yeah.
a lot of the head cloud and everything. And
Yeah.
basically, what they're doing is they're taking hemp, which is legal to grow. It's
Hmm.
all nice, and they're stripping out the delta H THC out of it, and then reinfusing it in larger quantity back into the hemp and then selling it. And they're also doing this with the Delta 10 THC. And as it stands right now, they're not getting in trouble for it. Nobody's put a lockdown on it. So
For now.
I'm like, hey, Joe Biden, please take the stick out of your ass. Whatever this fucking stick you have in your ass about marijuana is, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe he had a bad shotgun experience when he was in college. Somebody blew too hard and he passed out or whatever.
Oh my God. I
Maybe
have a story about that.
a gravity bong situation went rough. I don't know why he has such an issue with marijuana, but he needs to take the stick out of his ass, because that is how you're going to save this economy. Is
Oh
if you
yeah.
legalize weed at a federal level, just like it did back in the early 1900s with prohibition. When you got rid of prohibition, this country rebounded financially,
Hmm.
economically, and we can do it again if you'll just stop the bullshit and let the country do their thing, and we will make money. Even Big Farm can find a way to make money off legal marijuana if you'll just get off your ass and do the right thing. Joe Biden, do it before you keel over. In fact, as old as you are, it might be a good idea if you start hitting the herb a little bit, kind of keep that mind clear and focused, and get yourself some good night's sleeps, so that you last another 10, 15 years. I'm just saying. John, thoughts?
I have a story about something that you said at the beginning of your little tirade, I suppose I would call it, about a shotgun being too much. But it's not my story. Uh, I witnessed it. It was a friend of mine. So by the way, this story and everything that happened within this story happened long before, or long enough ago that the statute of limitations is in effect. So, it's fine. Like can't get in trouble,
Just
can't be
tell the story,
prosecuted.
John. Just tell the story.
We were on our way to buy some acid from a friend of my friend, and so we went to his house. He didn't have it there. He was waiting for it to show up. So we were sitting around waiting for it to show up. This dude goes into his room, comes out, and he's got like this 6 foot tall, uh, like acrylic bong. So it's like huge, it's 6 feet tall,
We get it.
massive. And so we were, taking small hits out of it, but it takes a person to light it at the bottom,
Right.
right? And so my friend goes to take his hit, and he's like filling it up with like the yellow smoke, getting it all yellow. The dude takes the bowl out and blows it all 6 feet of it into his lungs immediately, like all at once, and he coughed for easily about 10 minutes, and then ended up throwing up afterwards. It's pretty brilliant, yeah. Then we did acid later, and it was a lot of fun.
That's funny. Hey, I see Ron Helton in the show tonight. Here early. He's an early bird this evening. I also see Jay Edgar. He comments that the neckbeard returneth. It is coming in. Got that shadow chin going on. You try and grow a mustache, John. It'll help. Um, Helton says,
I will. I mean, I'm gonna get there.
he says, I told that moron he was a moron then to not inhale too deeply. He is just too dumb. Talking about Biden.
Yeah.
Stupid is a stupid does. Ford is revealing their electric F-150 right now. Fuck that. I
Lame.
don't understand how. Can it be as powerful as the gas F-150? Is it possible that an electric vehicle can be that powerful?
It's possible.
Oh, just to mention, they actually, I just read an article. I guess it was about a week ago, talking about a new breakthrough in uh, lithium batteries. So they're actually now they have breached technology where they may have perfected the lithium core battery to where like thousands of charges kind of situation, like to the point where it's like it's almost it self heals. It does like a self healing thing as well, so self uh, uh, regenerating, as it were. But they're saying that this could change the face of how we do electric vehicles and other things, because it can be built in a smaller scale and produce higher performance and longer yields from the batteries themselves. Like this is
Right.
like the holy grail of lithium batteries that they've been trying to accomplish. Um, where it's using, I guess it's using like a lithium metal versus the lithium, whatever, however they do the lithium now in the batteries. But they say, Ed says yes, they can and more. Uh,
Hmm.
it's see, and that's kind of surprising to me because it just seems like it would really take a lot, have to generate a lot of electricity to put out the same horsepower as those big V8s and V10s that you see in your big pickup trucks and stuff. But hey, if it's happening, that's awesome. That's great because I will say it's in my opinion better to go that route than it is, the escalating gas and fuel prices that we have, and having to fill up one of those bad boys with a
Mm-hmm.
tank of gas. You'll drop $100 easy.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, and that's the only reason why I don't. I would love to have a truck, but I don't want a big truck like that because the cost, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing like back to port, like Ed drives a big truck. Ed, if
Yep.
you could just like ballpark, what would you say your monthly expenditure on gas is? You know, for a month of having to drive your truck around. I can't believe it's, like my wife, for instance, she drives a little four banger, uh, you know, uh, 4 door car, 4 cylinder. She'll fill up and it's like 30, it's getting now to where it's closer to $30 to fill up, but that can last her upwards to 10 days to 2 weeks, depending on the amount of driving, right? So, we're talking somewhere upwards to, maybe a max of $100 a month in gas. But those trucks, man, they have those huge gas tanks. Don't they have like, isn't it like, was it, maybe it was Dodge that I'm thinking of that had like a 26-gallon tank
I don't know.
under their big trucks. Um, it says I get 2 months out of a tank of fuel. 2 months out of a tank? Well, okay, you're not driving very far then.
2 months out of a tank of fuel. Whoa. That's. Is it diesel?
Oh, he might be on a diesel.
I don't remember if it was diesel or not.
Because
I rode in his truck, but I don't know.
historically there's not a lot of mileage on the big F-150s, 250s,
Right. Certainly
350s,
not.
right? There's not great gas mileage there, so that begs the question: how far are you going on a daily basis? What do you drive, like 2 blocks to work?
I
And
think he did. I think he's told me that before. He doesn't live too far from work. I don't know.
no, it's gas.
Huh.
What? Oh, it's just straight gas. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious. Then that tells me you're not doing a lot of driving
Ain't
in
going
2 months,
nowhere.
right? It's got to be because they're not great on gas mileage normally, unless it's just gotten so much better now that I don't realize it. But I don't know. That's a lot of weight to be chugging around in. 33-gallon tank and works 5 miles
Yep.
from work. Okay, that makes
Nice.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then knowing Ed doesn't really have a life, so it's not like he's going anywhere
Oh,
besides work and home, right? Well,
I
oh,
don't know.
does he have a life? I don't know.
I don't know.
I've heard rumors that he doesn't, so I
Right.
don't know. You can't believe what you read on the internet anyway.
It's true.
Uh, but hey, you know, electric man, it's the wave of the future. I'm just saying, it's the wave of the future. Um, so I got to ask you about something, John. Now, I know, and I'm going to be asking you this knowing that you
Hmm.
don't have children, right?
Okay.
All right. So there's 2 states, and Texas just became the third state to pass what they call the free range kids law.
Hmm.
Okay? And basically, it says that parents who live in Texas cannot be investigated for neglect simply for giving their kids freedom. So,
That makes sense.
so one of the things that they, and in the article it says, amazingly, the bill became law on the 11th anniversary of "Take Our Children to the Park and Leave Them There" Day.
What?
It's a holiday created by free range kids, the free range kids groups, and once considered wacky and dangerous, but it's like they take their kids to the park and just leave.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Okay, now that sounds great from the kids' perspective,
Right.
but do you really? Is it really a good idea to just take your kid to the park and leave them in
Well,
a
depends on
day? And
how
oh, go ahead.
depends on how old they are.
No, they're talking young
Like,
kids. These are 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds,
okay,
kids these young,
yeah.
right?
I don't
Um,
know about that young, but
so they're right. So this is like, okay, how where see I really have a problem with this, ultimately
yeah.
because there's too many not good people out there,
Well, yeah.
right?
And then they know this holiday is coming up. If they, if that's like their interest, they're gonna be, oh, it's that day. It's free range kid day. Let's go pick one out. you know,
Right.
it's like, yeah, I don't know
Now,
about all that.
Now, here's what's interesting. I come across this article on the same day today that I'm talking to my stepdaughter, who is currently having an issue with her child, who is going to the front door, climbing up on the sofa, unlocking the deadbolt, and going out the front door and going and talking to neighbors around the apartment
Oh
complex.
my God, that's insane.
Right? And I'm like, I hate to say it, but kids don't have the best judgment.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
And it's great if you think you're a parent who's like, oh, my 7-year-old understands stranger danger and everything, and they'll be fine on their own. Will they? Will they? Because stranger danger, that could be something as simple as van pulls up, guy runs out, grabs a kid, jumps back to the van, goes.
Yeah.
Right? There's no understanding stranger danger in that moment. Sure, the kid
Right.
might scream, but I mean, you're at a playground. Kids are screaming all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this is a good thing. I don't know that I want this catching on. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's up to you if you bring your kid to the park and leave them there.
Well, in most
But I mean,
states,
there are
that's
some.
called abandonment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some good points that free range kid people make. You know what I mean? Teaching them independence, self reliance, problem solving. that sort of thing. But like to just completely leave, I don't think it's a good idea, especially at a young age like that.
right?
Um, but like with certain things, sure.
Now, I don't agree with these extremists who say, no, I need to be keeping my eyes on my kids all the way up until they turn 18.
Like helicopter parents, yeah,
Right.
that's the worst.
And
Fuck you.
because pardon me, but guess what? That magical number 18, it doesn't like instantly instill maturity into a teenager. Just FYI. It doesn't like, oh, suddenly, you know, the only
Yeah,
thing that 18 does is let you go, fuck it, they're an adult.
yeah,
Go, do whatever. You're an adult. Go. In fact, you can move out if you want. You know,
right.
you can go get your own place, do the whole thing. Right. That's what
Hmm.
the magic number 18 does. It sure as hell doesn't impart any wisdom. It sure as hell.
I don't
Uh,
know, not for much longer. I don't think.
well, even in this day
At
and age, it
18,
doesn't even impart responsibility to
right.
most kids. Right. They're like, oh, I don't want to do the adulting thing.
Well, I was gonna say, how long do you think it is to where like 18 being, the legal adult age gets moved up to 21?
I don't think that will.
You don't think so?
Only from the standpoint because the military still needs to be able to recruit 18-year-olds.
Oh, you can still join the military. You just can't be an
Mm,
adult.
but
They
that
already do that. Like you can join the military, but you can't smoke cigarettes. You can't play the lottery. Oh no, yes, you can play the lottery. You can't smoke cigarettes. You can't drink. But you
right. But
can
see
definitely.
that's
They can put a rifle in your hand. You can't
right.
buy a rifle,
See, and
but they
that's
can put a rifle in your hand and send you to go kill brown people in another country.
now I could get behind you're not an adult till 21 only if people that went join the military at 18 years old that they are that's the exception. Like if
Yeah.
you're 18 and joining the military, you should have all the rights and privileges of an adult that a 21-year-old has. That kind of thing.
Jesus
You know,
Christ. Yeah, sure.
it just always has been that way with me.
Hmm.
But I don't think it'll ever change. I mean, they'll still want to count 18 because they're still. Well, I don't know. Till we get rid of all the parents who are like, "Fuck, I wish the kids would turn 18. I can't wait for them to turn 18."
Right.
Because once upon a time, that was the magic number where you could kick those fuckers out. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, hey, why don't you get a job and move out? It was like, bye,
Yep.
go. Hey, your bags are packed. They're down by the front door.
Happy birthday. Get out.
Right? Happy birthday. Get the fuck out. Here, we got you a whole cake full of get the fuck out.
That's great. It's written on the cake and
Right?
icing.
Why does
Get
my
the
cake
fuck
say
out.
GTFO, Dad? It's a hint.
Yeah.
Um, but so no, I don't know. I don't agree with children, that young being left on their own. I'm of a firm mind that there's a period there as a child's growing up where it honestly seems like their sole intent is to see if they can kill themselves. Right?
Yeah.
This is
Oh
like
yeah.
they have no fear. They'll do just about anything. But
Well, they do that when they're toddlers too. The toddler's job is to kill itself. Like that's what they
right?
do. Yeah.
Right? And sadly, it's not one of those things where you can just do it as do it based off the maturity of the child or anything like that. Because I don't know what's your benchmark, right? So it's either
Hmm.
got to be all or nothing, and I'm like, I don't like the idea of it being no watching the children, right? I was just like,
Right. Yeah.
folks, you need to be. I don't know. To me, a good parent keeps their eye on their kid. Not
Yeah, for sure.
helicopter style, but like, if you're sitting in the house, you should know where your kid is at any given time.
Yeah.
You know, they could be out in the backyard playing, whatever. They could be over across the street at the friend's house under somebody else's watch, but you know where they are.
Right.
It's like, where's your kid? Well, I left them at the park, so I'm assuming that's where they're still at.
So when I was growing up, though, uh, I mean, I went outside. As you do as a kid, you went outside and played, and run around with the little dickhead friends. Um, and like, so while my parents obviously didn't know exactly where I was, because I was, off adventuring, probably in the woods somewhere. Um, I actually found a cow bone out there one time. It was pretty crazy. It had a BB in it, like a buckshot. Uh, but anyway, yeah. So they wouldn't know exactly where I was, but I had the whole street light rule. So when the street lights come on, you come inside.
Right.
That one, and then I would have to like check in every once in a while. So I would like
Sure.
come home and be like, "Hey, I'm still alive. All right, bye,"
Right.
and
Right.
then leave. So
Right.
yeah,
Just but you were in a you were expected to stay in a controlled environment, the neighborhood, right,
well,
near the
yeah, I
house
wasn't.
somewhere. You weren't like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll
No, I
just
was in the
go.
woods.
Uh,
I was in the woods a lot of the
sure,
time.
but that was local.
Precisely because I wasn't allowed to go in the woods. So of course that's why I went there
Oh, gotcha. Well,
immediately.
yeah, and I bet they didn't like the ticks you brought home, did they?
I didn't bring home ticks.
You
Never did.
you
Not
probably
once.
did. Don't lie.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot to be said for I don't know. If you trust your fucking kids to leave them alone, that's because see, once upon a time back in the old days, we
Hmm.
had a name for free range kids. They were called thugs. They were they were called they, they were ne'er do wells, right? Those were the
Right.
free range because typically kids without any supervision are getting up to some shenanigans. It just
Yeah. True.
it's just part of growing up, right? God knows. But anyway, so I just wanted to get your opinion on that. Being a non-parent type individual who might be a
Right.
parent one day, and you might, be parenting in the age of the free range child.
I doubt it. We're not. We're moving more and more towards like authority and constant surveillance. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm really reaching this point where I cannot appreciate this whole idea of entitled kids who think that they have like some, law, full right to
Just
privacy and
say
this, that,
rights
and the
in
other,
general. They
right?
think
I
they have
mean,
rights. Yeah.
I'm sorry, kid. You know what? You're going to sit around and expect that someone has to provide you a roof and food and clothes and shit like that. Guess what? You got to sacrifice something for that,
Hmm.
and that's my watchful eye, right? you know, I don't ask for much, but toe the fucking line, you but it is what it is. Um,
Is indeed.
but I had something else that I had to ask you about that, you know, and I'll preface this with they apparently in Arizona, the investigation into the election in Arizona has
Yeah.
been ongoing, blah 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 blah, and during the election, Donald Trump, or right out, with all the hoopla about it, he said that like Maricopa County in Arizona had deleted all the election files, like all the data had been deleted. Well, it turns out, and this is going to make it take, this investigation is going to extend it for a few more weeks. Well, they found
Oh
all
my
the data.
god.
Apparently, people were looking in the wrong place, but all this data is there, and it was not deleted, and But the House, the House approved a bill. I think it was today.
Yeah. Sure was.
It's a January 6th commission bill, and
Oh
basically
my god.
opening an independent commission to investigate the January 6th Capitol attack. Weren't we doing that already?
Yeah, I know. Like, weren't we?
Haven't they been chasing people down
Right.
and fingering people who were involved? And
Finger. Um. So I think it's more. I think it's more of just like investigating why it started, how it started. You know what I mean? Like, who maybe like the major players in like inciting it were, that sort of thing.
it's another look. When
It's.
it's all
I
said and
mean,
done, this is another angle to try and go after Trump.
right, which is ridiculous because he's done. Just
Right?
let him fucking die. Jesus Christ, I'm
I am
over Trump.
I am
God.
completely ready to not give a fuck about the election anymore.
Yeah.
To give a fuck about the Capitol riot. You've been going after people and people have been getting in trouble for that. You've been doing it. All right? Finish that shit up. Let's not keep kicking this goddamn dead horse. Look, nothing's going to change. They're not going to find enough voter fraud to convince anybody, and if they did come up with enough evidence, it wouldn't make it to the light of day long enough to
Right.
do any good.
Right. What are they gonna do? They're gonna oust Biden and put Trump back in? Stop. No.
Right?
Like
And
no.
and,
It's
and
not gonna happen.
and what are you gonna you're gonna spend our money in a time where we don't need to be spending a ton of fucking printed money. You're gonna be wasting more money to further investigate something that happened, which we know why it happened. We know who was involved. We've already pointed fingers at people that said things that may have caused it. Be done and get over your fucking selves, because it's so tedious, time consuming, and wasteful. It's
Oh yeah.
extremely fucking wasteful. And the biggest part about it is, apparently this thing has now begun dividing the Republican Party. So like 35 Republicans voted along with Democrats on this vote, right? So Republicans are now split in Washington, and there's Republicans and there's Trumppublicans, right?
No, it's Retrumplicans. Is what they call it.
Retrumplicans. Okay, we'll go with
Retrumplicans,
that.
yeah. That's what I always see on Twitter. These lefties try to come up with nicknames. They're so bad. The
Now,
left cannot meme. But
now,
yeah, Retrumplicans.
I'm of the opinion. Look, if you think the election was stolen from him, understandable. That's fine
Yeah.
for you to believe that. But
I do.
wasting your fucking time on trying to split the party, having conversations about breaking it into two separate parties, to where you are only going to empower Democrats more, right? It'd be a fatal move for the Republican Party to split. It's like, look, stop worrying about what might have happened to Trump. Because, again, we don't have solid, unquestionable evidence that that happened. So move on to get the motherfucker reelected in 2024 if you really want him back in office.
No, that's so stupid. No.
But
it's
I would rather they do that than
yeah,
this
obviously,
stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know that that's going to happen. He's going to be too old by that point. I don't think he's going to be viable.
Well,
I would rather see Ron DeSantis get the nod.
He's going to be too old, and he comes with a lot of baggage. Like, he comes with a lot of baggage. And people are pretty much like over the Trump era, and then so to threaten them with that again, to be like, hey, remember how shitty the media was? Remember how shitty all the people were to him, and to conservatives in general, to anyone on the right, like how shitty people were to you. Let's do that again for another 4 years.
Right.
How about that? It's like,
Well,
dude, no, I'm just over it, man.
Well, listen. Let me ask. Real quick. I want to shout out. Holy shit! Cameron Michael in the house.
Oh, what's up?
Disturbing lack of beard hair I'm seeing here. Man, this show's gone down.
That's true.
I'm not sure it ever went uphill.
No, but it has gone down more.
We didn't have the gas mileage for that. I see High Leaf in there. He's in his own half track. He's did you not have? Is Seawall not with you? Or is he going to come in his own half track? He says howdy tonight. Ed says the New York Attorney General upgraded the civil suit case against Donald to the Trump organization to criminal. So the civil suit is going to be turned into a criminal case. Go figure. Surprise, right?
Yeah,
New York,
surprised.
Cuomo, still going to push to go after Trump, and yeah,
Right.
and that's again, that is where it's like, look, let your fucking vendettas go. We have some serious fucking uphill battle in front of us right now with the economy, with recovering from this pandemic bullshit that's gone on. The one the pandemic I'm talking about, the one with the extremely low mortality rate. I'm
I've not
just
heard.
saying.
I've not heard of this. What is this?
Um,
Is this new?
they need to fucking let it go, because by God, you're going to force people into a position of, you know what, y'all got to go. Everybody's got to go, and
I
you don't
wish.
want that.
I
Look,
do.
let me just straight up, John.
Hmm.
Trump runs in 2024.
Oh,
Does he stand any chance of winning from the
no,
American vote?
I don't think so.
No matter how many supporters he has out there, do you think the American vote would sway his way if he ran in
No,
2024?
no,
Right?
I don't
It
think
would
so. No.
it would suddenly seem like, wow, there was a whole lot of noise, and then now he runs for election again, and I think the noise would be much less to where
Well, I
he
think
wouldn't get
people.
elected.
Yeah, I think people are fatigued. I don't, maybe I'm projecting my own, feelings onto other people, but I can't imagine. I mean, you don't see a lot of, people talking about, oh, Trump is, doing this and he's so great and he's doing that. And he's got what? He's a blog writer now. He's writing a blog now, and like it has no, like almost no views or no, whatever. I don't know. No one's clicking on it. Like no one's going to look at to see what Trump has to say
Right?
today. Like his Twitter was fantastic, but other than that,
I will
like
say
why? I'm not gonna go seek him out to go
right.
and see what he's.
I will say the idea of a Trump figure survived, but not the
Yeah,
idea of Trump being that
right.
figure.
Trump doesn't
Right?
need to be
Right?
there. He already set the standard. Like, hey,
Right.
here's
You need
how
someone
you do this shit.
they want somebody new that's going to try and achieve the Trump benchmarks in certain ways,
Yeah.
not all the egregious ways that he
Well,
pushed the envelope.
Which is why
Right.
DeSantis is better. He's like a Trump 2.0 because he does and says most of the right things, but he's not like a complete like okay. Well, he's got a spine. He'll stand up for himself, but he's not gonna like he's not tweeting mean things at 2 in the
Right.
morning. He's not
Right.
he's not being callous or ridiculous, but he will like yell at a reporter for being completely dishonest. Like
Sure.
he'll sit there and like tell the
Right.
truth, which is
And
nice.
he doesn't feel the need to sit around and toot his own horn as much. Right? I think
Right.
he's got a lot less of that narcissistic ego that Trump has, to where
Yeah.
he can actually, you know, the better parts of Trump's presidency stand out in Ron DeSantis's actions and his
Right.
approach to leadership. And that's why I say, I hope he gets the nod in
I
2024.
I
I,
think our position switched on this.
on
What
DeSantis?
yeah, weren't you saying before that like no, he needs to stay in Florida?
No, 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 no.
I know I
No, the
agree.
idea that he would not run in 2022 in to gear up for a 2024 race. I want
Don't.
him to stay as
Yeah,
governor of
yeah, of
Florida
course.
up until he runs for president. I don't want
Right,
him to move out of that so that he can focus on a presidential campaign. I want him to
right.
keep doing his job here, because I don't want to take a chance of him being replaced in 2022 with an
Oh
idiot.
God.
You
Oh
can
my
get you
God.
can
Yeah.
still get a Republican in office that might be an idiot,
Right.
right, and
For
not
sure.
stand toe to toe with everyone like DeSantis is willing to do.
Yeah. Oh God. Can you imagine if fucking who was it? Andrew Gillum was governor, especially during the pandemic. Holy
Um,
fuck.
Demings from here in Orlando
Uh huh.
is going to be running for a Senate seat up against Mark Rubio.
I don't know. I know who Rubio is. I don't know who the other guy you were
Yeah,
mentioning is.
Mayor Deming. She is a
Oh.
black lady. She was chief of police, and then she went into political office. But she's looking at going up against Mark Rubio for a Senate seat here in Florida. So one of our own locals here. But Deming is not bad. I mean, she's pretty. She doesn't She's never seemed to capitulate to too much of the racial pandering,
Oh, good.
the BLM pandering. I mean, she's kind of I don't know. I felt like she's managed to run a good middle ground, although she's done some dumb things, this, that, and the other. I mean, if you look at her overall, she may not be the best one to go up against Rubio, but Rubio is, to me, he's too polished and too much talk, not enough action. Like he kind of cucks around on shit too much.
Hmm.
Ed says she can't run ACAB.
Oh yeah, ACAB.
I'm not familiar with the term.
Really? It's in the news like all the time.
I
I thought
don't.
you read the news.
Is it what?
ACAB is all cops are bastards.
Oh,
It's like the BLM thing. They'll shout it at cops and they'll, not tattoo, graffiti, onto walls and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I mean, it's just something that's happening. I'm like, wow. Local folks going. It's somebody I'm familiar with here to a certain extent. That I've been living under the authority of, in a sense. Here in Orlando. So,
Right.
but anyway, so when it's all said and done, when it comes to all this shit with the election, I think let's put our energy to making sure we have a good, solid election in 2024. As far as let's look at the failures that we think might have caused whatever might have didn't happen, did whatever. Let's just fix this. Let's just say, okay, let's figure it out. That's what needs to be the focus. So we don't have to go through this shit again. So we don't have to, worry about Capitol riots that turn into investigation after investigation after manhunt. I'm fucking
Oh my
done
God,
with it.
yeah.
I'm done with it. Ed says not just BLM. Ron will shout it at cops too.
That's
Hey,
fair.
hey, you know what? The bottom line is, I don't give a fuck if someone speaks their mind, if it's the right thing, right? And even if it's the wrong thing, fuck it. You're allowed to speak your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
I was just reading an article where they're coming down on Joe Rogan a little bit because
Oh
they
God.
felt like he was defending a comedian friend of his who had done a racially insensitive Asian bit in his act, et cetera, et cetera. But he was saying, he's like, I mean, it's getting to the point where you're just not going to be able to speak as a white male in this country,
Hmm.
and potentially not even be able to go out of your house. And the author of the article that was writing it was talking about respect for each other, like respect is a human right.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Respect is not a human right. It's one thing to have just common decency enough to respect somebody,
Yeah. I mean, you can
but
respect their rights.
I
you
have
know.
I have no fucking authority that should be able to tell me who I must and must not respect.
Right.
Fuck that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I don't. I teach my. I've always taught my kids. You show respect to people,
Hmm.
right? And if they give you a reason to not respect them, understandable. But it's
Yeah.
polite to show respect to people, and
Right.
be polite. Polite and respect go hand in hand, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
But god damn it, I don't owe you any respect. Especially if I
Right.
don't know who the fuck you are, I don't owe
Hmm.
you any respect. And so that means I don't have to be respectful about every goddamn word that comes out of my mouth because it might offend one of 7.5 billion people in the
Yeah.
world.
I don't give a fuck if you're
Fuck
offended.
that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
comedians,
Mhm.
fuck you for targeting comedians. Fuck you. Comedians are supposed to make fun of people. And guess
Right.
what? Comedians make fun of white people just as much as any other fucking race.
Yeah. It's totally fine. Like it's not. It's like racial humor is not an issue at all.
It is
It's
now.
just. Well, no,
It's,
but
it
what I
is.
mean is like, no one went to see a comedian, heard a racial joke, and then went to assaulted a minority. That's not how. That doesn't. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't work like that.
And
Not,
no, Ed,
like,
I have not tried that thing that you're saying. And I don't believe John has tried
I
that
have
thing
not.
that you're saying either.
I have not, and I don't plan to. It sounds like from what
It's
they talk about
pointless.
it, they're like, no, it sounds way too intense. I'm not a fan.
It's,
I'm too
it,
old for that shit now, man. I don't. I don't even want to do like acid or mushrooms anymore. I'm just like,
It's,
ugh.
I'm highly offended by your refusal to acknowledge that I'm highly offended. Exactly. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I don't
don't
care
care.
if I offend people with. I have an opinion. Guess what? It's
Hmm.
an opinion, and I have every fucking right to my opinion. I don't give a fuck if anybody doesn't like it. Now, I am not. I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit and run around and insult people, right?
Right.
I'm not racist. I don't find myself racist. I see race because I'm forced to see race, right? It's just because I can see things, right? I have eyes, right? But
Right.
I'm not in any competition with any other race, so I'm not going to disrespect people by saying something that would offend them unless my intent is to fucking offend them.
Right.
But I'll joke about fucking stereotypes no matter what the
Yeah.
race is, even if it's white people, because we have
Oh
some
yeah.
stereotypical things that we do.
That's right.
And
Mayo
I,
is
you know,
spicy. We can't jump. You know
and
that sort of thing.
if you want to tell me that stereotypes are
Can't
wrong,
dance.
then you need to understand what a fucking stereotype is,
Mm-hmm.
because stereotypes aren't created out of nothing. They don't just pull that out of their ass, right? Did you freeze, John?
Correct. I don't think so. Did I freeze?
You didn't vote Biden. That means you're racist. No, you were just deadpan and not
Oh,
moving, so I couldn't tell.
yeah, here. I'll move constantly now.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, because I'm a little bit excited about this to a certain extent. We talked on Friday about minimum wage, right? We talked about minimum
Mm-hmm.
wage companies, stepping up to the plate and starting to address the disparity that workers feel, right? Not that we should be raising the minimum wage, et cetera, right? Because you're of a mind that if a company wants to increase wages, that should be on them to be able to do it, that they can afford to do it, et cetera, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not be mandated that they have to do it. And
Right.
I can agree with that in many regards. So I think that I said it was on companies to start trying to find a middle ground that they can come together with employees to at least get people in a place where they're more able to afford their lives, especially in a time where things are, as you were talking about, the cost of things is getting so high right now and
Mm-hmm.
climbing. But Bank of America released some information that they have made a pledge that they are between now and 2025. They are going to raise their minimum hourly wage to a level of $25 an hour.
Wow.
$25 an hour minimum hourly wage for a Bank of America employee. So, like a teller, just sitting there transacting money all day, just the grunt job in a bank, right? Is going to make
Mm-hmm.
$25 an hour by 2025.
That's pretty awesome.
They're currently at a rate of, I believe, what did I say it was? Somewhere near 18. Oh no, they're at $20 right now
Ooh.
since 2020, and they're going to bump that up by 2025. So now this is a company. But here's the interesting thing, right? Now they've got a lot of money, and I get that, and so they can afford to do this. But it also said that vendors that work with Bank of America, and they have like 2,000 plus vendors, it's going to be a requirement that vendors that work with Bank of America must be paying at least a $15 minimum wage to their employees. So, in a sense, forcing by example a standard of
Right.
meeting some level of worker empowerment from a wage standpoint. Now now do you find that's acceptable, right? Like if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
say you're
Because
going to be a
it's
vendor of ours, you've got to meet a standard. And real
yeah,
quick,
it's conditioned on on doing business with them. Yeah.
right? And just an FYI, most of the 2,000 plus vendors that work with Bank of America are already at that point. So they've been leading this standard by increasing their minimum wage. But at the same time, McDonald's has come out and said that corporate McDonald's stores are going to be setting $15 as their new minimum wage as well.
Ah, damn.
But that's corporate stores. Unfortunately, that only encompasses like 640 stores in the United States out of the, I don't know how many thousands of
Right.
McDonald's there are. because most of those are franchises.
Right.
Which this drew fire from AOC. And she thinks that McDonald's should make it a requirement that all franchises do the same thing. She said it's not fair for corporate McDonald's employees to make $15 an hour while the rest of them out there do not. And I'm like, but hold on a minute. Part of being a franchise owner is that it's your business and you're
Right.
able to run it your way, meeting
For the most part.
certain menu, requirements of the corporate shell, as it were, what the product offerings are, what you're promoting, and everything like that, right? And keeping to a certain standard. But I don't know. Do you agree that McDonald's should put that out there, that their franchisees reach the same minimum wage as the corporate stores do?
Well, I think they should. I mean, I don't think they should, but they certainly can.
I'm just saying, do you think it would be an overreach, like from the franchisee standpoint, if they push that standard
I mean,
onto
so
small business owners?
right. If I'm a franchisee, then yeah, I'm probably not gonna like that. But as someone who's not, I mean, I don't know. They can do that if they want, I guess.
I mean, because it's
I mean, because yeah, it is a small business, but at the same time, uh, they in order to open a McDonald's, like you have to meet very specific requirements. One of them being, I believe it's one of them is you have to have at least $1 million in the bank, like not in assets, not in property, like in the bank. That way they know, you know what I mean, like you know what you're doing, right? You're not just some fool. It's gonna, ruin their restaurant, their name, you know. So I was gonna make a point about that, and I forgot what it was. I lost it. Damn it. I think my point was
about
just
the
gonna
financial.
be that you know what you're doing, and so you should be left alone, right, to operate as you see fit. Because again, you've had to prove, that you know exactly what you're doing. So I don't know. Don't think it would be a good idea, but they certainly have the right to do it, I guess.
Yeah, they might be able to. I think that they would see a lot of kickback, and mainly from the standpoint that, you know, if you think about it, if there's under 700 corporate McDonald's in America, out of the many thousands that there are, McDonald's as a corporation is making huge bucks off of these franchisers, right? So it's kind of almost an ivory tower situation, in my opinion, that they sit in an ivory tower where the bulk of their money is supported by these franchise owners. However, just because you own a McDonald's doesn't mean you're making big bucks, right? People assume that it's McDonald's, so they've got to be making lots of money. But I'm sorry, you're still those people are paying out a lot of money to McDonald's itself to keep that going, right? So if the minimum wage is $10 where that store is at, they may not be doing enough business to support a $15 an hour minimum wage. So, because just having the name McDonald's, because McDonald's doesn't come in and go, oh, your franchise is failing? Here's a bunch of money. They don't do that. They're like, oh, your franchise is failing? Oh, well, that's just one less McDonald's out of the many thousands. Three more are opening next week.
But even then, like, how often do you see a closed down McDonald's or a closed down even Burger King, any fast food restaurant? I mean, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they. In fact, I know for a fact they exist. But it's like, but how often do you see? It's not often.
Now I do remember. I want to say, I can't remember how long ago it was. A franchise owner who was basically going to have to sell his franchise back to McDonald's because he wasn't doing enough traffic, wasn't getting enough business to stay afloat. Now, if there was bad management with money, et cetera, maybe. But see, even you have kind of that mentality. I mean, it's a McDonald's. How are you not right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
the bottom line is think about it like this. Um, the food that you're buying, right? You've got to buy all this food, right? And
Yeah.
so because you're buying it from McDonald's, I mean, you get diminished profit margins versus what a corporate store makes. And then, you have to take care of all of your own bureaucracy, right? There's really not a lot of help that's coming from McDonald's corporate in those regards. So you've got to do all the major functions of a major corporation from a small business standpoint.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about it. If you had one McDonald's franchise, it's really not that much difference than having your own mom and pop burger joint. It's just name
Right.
recognition that drives more of your business there, but that doesn't mean you're in a place that's getting a ton of traffic, right? You know, I mean, especially when you go through periods of time where there's like what the health food movement, and oh, McDonald's is catching flack for how bad its food is, and then you see traffic at McDonald's drop down. So those lower performing stores, they get punched harder. So now for McDonald's to say, hey, all of our franchise owners have to pay $15 an hour like corporate does, I think you're
Yeah.
going to see a lot of McDonald's go out of business. Franchisers go out of business, and those McDonald's have to be picked up by the corporate store. And then I bet their song might change a little bit as the number of stores they have to put back under the corporate umbrella increases.
Right.
Right? Because if that number were to jump up to like 2,000 stores, 3 times as much, now look at your labor budget.
Yeah.
Right? Um, but it does speak, when you're seeing this happening, that I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a bright side from this whole pandemic lockdown bullshit, to where the employee, that focus I was talking about, where employees were able to focus more on quality of work versus how much they were getting paid, and get to like legitimately address it with companies now via the economy and the money that was given to them and everything. Maybe some companies are going to start to figure it out. Um, as long as it's not the other bullshit like some companies do, where it's like, here we're doing all this, we're going to raise our minimum wages, raise our minimum wage. Hey guys, cut that labor, cut those hours,
Mm-hmm.
cut those bonuses. Take them from
Yep.
4 bonuses a year down to 1, and
Four.
make the amount of labor that they have in the store be the biggest thing that impacts that bonus that they're going to get.
Yep.
Not that I know of any companies, big
Mm-hmm.
corporations, biggest in the world next to Amazon, that are doing that,
Correct.
but they are doing that.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. Hopefully these kind of things will lead the charge in starting to get the worker more empowered, because that's what we need. I agree. We don't need the government legislating how much people get paid. We need companies to wake up and say, hey, you're worth this much to me.
Well, yeah, we need
If,
companies to set the standard
right.
because they're gonna know better, what wages they can afford to pay, rather than the government who's going completely off of what number will get me reelected. They don't care about the impact it's gonna have because they're safe, right? They're making money. They're not gonna have to, they're not gonna go through any kind of struggle. They're not gonna be laid off, and they just to make sure they get reelected.
Yeah. I mean, it's I do think though that what is going to happen though, as this progresses, so more companies start listening, right? Larger companies are listening and watching these examples being set and start to get on board. I think it's going to be problematic for small businesses that can't step up to the plate and do that. So, we're going to see a scenario where it's like, why should I go work for mom and pop pizza at $9 an hour when I can
Yeah.
go get a job slinging burgers at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's for 15
Hmm.
bucks an hour.
And that's going to be a big problem
And
coming up here. You're going to see, much like during the pandemic, right? We have tons of small businesses closed permanently.
and
Meanwhile, the people that talk were the massive corporations,
right.
and now that we're going to see that again once the wages go up and up and up.
I-
And you see people all the time, especially over in the Twitterverse, as it were. Anytime you mention that, like, okay, so you just don't want small businesses to exist, and they'll be like, yeah, if they can't pay a living wage, then they don't deserve to be a business. They don't deserve to be open or whatever.
right.
So it's like, okay, so you're fine with monopolies. You want a monopoly. You're fine with killing competition completely, and then you're gonna bitch about like I thought like massive corporations were the enemy to these people, but they're not. They're simping for them constantly.
Well, I mean, Amazon is.
Like,
I
I
think
just don't. I don't.
Amazon has
I don't
become
get.
the proof that people don't care about a monopoly. They are
Yeah,
they will be
that's
they
true.
will be the example to show you that people are okay with it as they continue to grow.
Hmm.
But the thing about it though, John, is this is like if I'm looking at this being a possibility where small businesses are going under not from regulated minimum wage, but by corporate um, minimum wage. Like big corporations going ahead and just setting their own standards, not capitulating to minimum wage requirements and doing it themselves. That in and of itself, you take all of the minimum wage bullshit out of there. No more federal minimum wage, no more state minimum wage. Companies setting the standard, that is going to have a negative effect on small businesses when they can't hire people because they're not capable of paying those wages. I mean, that is going to create, and I mean, right? Because when you're talking about competing for wages, it's one thing to compete for business, right? With a good quality product,
Yeah,
service, whatever. But when you're competing at the wage level, that's not one you can easily battle. And when you have 5 corporate level restaurants right near you that can all pay $15 or more an hour, and you can only pay 8, 9, 10, man, you're going to go under because you won't have the staff to sell that
yeah,
awesome product you have.
right.
And that's
Yeah,
and it's weird to think that because it's not a bad thing for companies to pay their employees good money, right? But it
right.
it,
Of course
it
not. Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of defeats the ability of the free market competition, right? That's the
Hmm.
competition that's the hardest to even fucking contemplate. What do you? I mean, where do you see? Is that a part of the free market that really is? I don't know, a negative. I mean, to where a free market won't work as well.
With
I'm,
what?
well,
With
you're
wages?
like right when the competition is about wages, is that a failure of the free market that
Well, no, because I mean, in a free market, like, yeah. So yeah, when you're small, obviously you're gonna pay less. So, no, I don't think it's a failing. I don't think it's a failing at all. I
well, maybe
mean,
failing's not the right
no,
word,
I think
but
it'll adjust. Yeah, because I think it adjusts. I mean, it'll adjust. Because right now the wage is higher. Uh, that's propped up, right? It's artificially inflated. The wages are artificially inflated right now, including the why it's a living wage. What is a living wage is artificially inflated.
and what do you
Not
mean by
necessarily on
artificially
purpose.
inflated?
Like, so the government putting out whatever regulations they put out that force especially minimum wage is one of the big ones. So when you go to rent somewhere, right, the either landlord, property manager, whatever it is, knows that you're making at least this much, or
Right.
uh, right, so they can hike up the rent. Uh, so, fuck. what was I gonna say? God damn it, I lost it. I keep doing that tonight.
You're talking about
brain
why
is
how
tired.
it's inflated.
Yeah, yeah, artificially inflated. Yeah, so all these factors that come together that jack up the prices, plus obviously inflation is another factor. With all these things, like it takes more money to live, right? I mean, it's always taken more money to live. Like if you look back at the '70s, you know what I mean? Like what was the minimum wage then? Like $3, something like that.
Mm. Yeah, but
You know what I
you
mean?
know what
But
would
you could also have one. You could also have a job. One person have a job and have a decent buy a decent house. And support a family off of like one halfway decent job. Probably not a broker flipper, but you don't have to be a mortgage broker or some shit to
well,
support your family with one job.
well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's making minimum wage has never really been like able to give you a comfortable life. Like
Right.
you're living
Yeah. Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck for decades on minimum wage,
Right. No,
right?
I'm not trying to. I'm not suggesting that people can live on a minimum wage. That's not what
Right.
I'm
No, no,
saying.
no. And I understand. And I understand what you mean by inflated. But it kind of goes hand in hand with the idea of that's inflation, right? There's inflation. Like everything impacts it. Like
Yeah.
like my house value right now is like these there's things that inflate it. Like the idea that there's 300 new residences going in the nearby area. Well, okay, are that the idea that those are going to be filled up with people that and everything, and there's going to be this growth, the hope of growth inflates the value of my home, right? And it's
Hmm.
it's that's just generated inflation, right? That's just forecasting. It's like, oh well, there's growth, so we can inflate prices, right? um,
Right.
and so, but I don't I I guess it's when you talk about competition in the free market, right? You're
Hmm.
talking, you're looking at competition from the standpoint of cost of goods, services, etc. A business that wants to compete with others. But the free market, you know, when you bring in a competition from wages standpoint, where it's about who can afford to pay people what people want to get paid, when you can't, I mean, that, I don't know, that seems like an almost unfair competition for new businesses that want to start, small businesses that want to get going. They're kind of fucked if we reach a point where we have these inflated prices and inflated wages
Well, I
and
mean, if you're able to come in and say we offer the same or similar product at a lower price, that's where the competition comes in. So you said, yeah, they
right.
have the inflated price, so deflate your price. And so
Well,
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, so you
but
might
that
have
but
to.
that's fine as long as you
Mhm.
have someone to sell the product, right? That's the
You
key, right? Well, right. Okay, so one person is gonna,
maybe,
I mean,
or a
that's
lot
what
of the time it's a family,
I mean,
right? A lot of time.
right, right. But
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's like you can't afford to have employees, which would make the production better and
Right. Well, yeah,
higher,
but
etc. To
so you grow. That's how you grow, right? That's how you grow even now.
yeah.
You start off as just you, and then eventually you can hire a person, and then eventually you can hire maybe two people, and it goes up and up and up until you're, a multinational corporation, hiring
You
thousands
know,
of people.
I guess I could see that to a certain extent, but like if say you're starting a restaurant, you've got to staff a restaurant. Period. You've got to
Yeah,
have staff
yeah.
immediately, right?
Hmm.
And walking into the ball game knowing you already have to have this many shots made is like
Hmm.
I got to have 8 employees to run this restaurant and I got to pay them all how much because every other restaurant that is successful is paying this much. Where am
Hmm.
I going to get my employees? Right?
That's why you have a bunch of kids. No,
Right? No, that's it's
yeah,
not kidding. That's an option, right?
yeah,
I
for
mean, but
sure.
that's where I'm like, so that is that a competition that is hurtful to the free market in giving people an opportunity to start small businesses, whether it be whatever it is, even if it's just something stupid as a telemarketing center. If you don't have a bankroll to pay these people what everyone else is paying, man, that gets,
Yeah.
especially if we were to do away with minimum wage requirements from the governmental level, then you're really screwed because you don't have anything to fall back on. You can't go, well, we pay minimum wage
Right.
because companies are now going to set the standard for minimum wage. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's only one thing left to do: print more money.
That's
Print
right.
more money.
Pay people to stay home still.
Yeah, so corporations are going to take over the world just by being generous to the employees. Who'd have thunk it, right? Who'd have thunk it? All right, let's see. Ron Helton says somebody being paid $15 an hour in this part of the world would be really good money for unskilled labor. It would, it's just there. There are places where they need that to get by. Shit, John. Would you want to try and get by for? How much would you be willing to get by on to go live on your own, buy that house, that home that you want to buy? How much do you need an hour for that?
Oh, I had actually figured it out. I need 17 an hour.
$17 an hour,
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had to
and
sit down
that's
and do all
with
the
a
math
second
for that.
income in the house with you.
No.
Oh, that's just you by
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, $17 an hour.
Yep.
That's your livable wage,
That is. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Uh, Helton says no. The franchise owners should not have to pay that. If they did, they would have to raise prices. Yes, they would. And guess what? Guess what? They don't get the opportunity to do. Their pricing is usually controlled by corporate.
Hmm.
Aha! That's where that kind of shit happens with McDonald's. It's really fucked for them. They can't raise their prices that much more. They've got
Right.
a window. They've got a little window that they can roll between. Especially when McDonald's is out there going, "Hey, we've got this 2 for 2 this."
Well, yeah, for the price.
And it'd
Well,
be,
so I think the only thing that changes is the sales tax, like the local sales tax. It's probably really the only thing that changes the price for the menu items.
right.
Yeah.
Because it'd be, it's not like the franchise owner can go, "Oh, you want 2 for 2? No, ours is 2 for twice as much."
Right.
Sorry,
For 2 times. Yeah.
I got to pay these folks. I got to
Right.
pay these folks,
They're trying to
right?
make $15 an hour, bro. I gotta.
All right, let's get the hell out of here, John.
Yeah, definitely.
I thumbs up to, that there are some companies that are starting to like pay attention, that they're actually listening to what the word on the street is. They got their ear to the ground and paying attention to the fact that people want, just, they need their money. And, yay, workers demanding something, and it's happening. But John, if you could you instruct these fine and wonderful folks who've graced us with their presence as to where they could find us if
Would
they
love
were
to.
looking?
I would love to. Down in the description, we have all of our links, all of our stuff. First one there is buy me a coffee.
Oh, I
A
love
lot of
coffee.
fun for us. We like that because it's a way to support the channel and yeah, allow us to keep doing this and maybe even do it more, which would be cool. So you can go there and they have options for a one-time donation or a monthly donation. Which if you get the monthly one, you get access to different perks depending on which one you pick. So make sure you go and check those out, see which one you like, and you know, help us out. That would be awesome. Then we have our Twitter at the GenGapP. That's over there as well. I'm on there pretty much all the time. Uh, you know, yeah, that's actually a good way to reach me if you want to get a hold of me. Which speaking of, another good way to reach me, Discord. we're both on Discord. We have a Discord server
Mm-hmm.
link, like I said, down in the description. Uh, that's where you can talk to us if you so choose. There's a bunch of cool people in there you can talk to. A bunch of not cool people, you can avoid them. They know who they are. Uh, but yeah, it's like a good place to kind of talk to and meet some new people.
Say anything you want as long as it doesn't offend me.
As long as it doesn't offend me,
Me.
right? Or you. As long as it doesn't offend us. I'm just kidding, by the way. Uh, yeah. So you'll get your notifications there. If YouTube decides not to send you a notification, you'll get them there, most likely. Sometimes I forget. Shit happens, And then we got Subscribestar. If you don't like Buy Me a Coffee, we got Subscribestar with the same perks over there. So, yeah, go check that out if you so choose.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So thanks a whole lot for folks showing up tonight.
That's true, Ed.
What?
Ed said if I want to reach you, I'll just call you and tell you you're a bundle of sticks.
I get that.
He would do that, yeah.
I get that.
Me too.
We appreciate everyone showing up tonight and taking part in our little chit chat, discourse, etc. We are going to be back on Friday. As far as I know, I'm going to be able to. I should be back in time to do the show on Friday. I'll let you know if there's going to be a problem, but I don't think there will be because we are going out to the property overnight Thursday.
So if not, it's fine. I'll do a gaming stream.
That's fine. But she doesn't like to drive at night, so we'll be coming back. Should be coming back early enough to where I can be able to jump on. Worst case scenario, the show might be a little late. Worst case, But I mean, if we started at 9:30 versus 8:30, what are they going to do? Shoot us in the face with a bazooka?
I mean, the chances are not zero.
High impact classes. All right. So we're tentatively going to be. We'll see you again on Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Of course, we'll try and be back with you again on Monday as well. We do our little fill in the gap on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Try and bring a little humor to the beginning of your week. We then, of course, will be back a week from now for another rousing episode of Shooting the Shit. That, of course, is at 9:30 p.m. as well. All of those times are the Eastern Time Zone, the one and only true time zone, not to be confused with the rest of you posers out there. You know who you are. Ron Helton. So much love to everyone for showing up tonight. John, thanks for stopping by. We're going to get the hell out of here. John, I've almost sold this house.
I know.
I'm so excited. All right, we're going to peace out. Love everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.
Yep, see you guys.
The war will begin.